pursuits. He even failed to turn up for his own coronation as emperor, which did little to endear him to the Pope. Wenceslas the Idle did not impress the imperial nobility either. His difficulties mounted until the nobles, exasperated by the inaction of their ruler, turned for help to his half-brother, King Sigismund.
Greetings. What do you need?
Sir, can I ask you about something?
Of course, Henry.
Well, I thought since we chased the bandits out of Pribyslavitz, the roads would be safer.
Ah, criticizing your liege lord, are you? And what, in your opinion, should he do about it?
Oh no, I don't mean anything by it. Just that it surprises me.
Easy, lad. I'm only pulling your leg. You're quite right. The roads really aren't safe. Mostly due to one thing. My garrison is a shamble these days. I lost most of my men in Skalitz, and what I'm left with after Pribyslavitz is hardly enough even to guard Pigstein. Let alone guarding the roads and patrolling the rest of the province. I simply don't have the men.
Uh-huh. I understand.
That is, I didn't have the men. As it happens, you've come at just the right time. Recently, I asked an old acquaintance for help. Sir Kuno of Rickwald and his mercenary band. The men who ride with him are a rough lot, mostly former convicts, but they're as capable as any squad of soldiers.
Well, excuse me for being so bold, but there's plenty of mercenaries around. Surely you can find a more respectable band?
You have a point, lad, but I'd like to tell you I talked to Kuno because I trust him. But actually my reasons are of a more pragmatic nature. You see, Kuno owes me a favor, so he'll serve me free of charge.
So, you want me to join them?
Yes, but that's not all. I told Kuno I'd send him a guide, but really what I need is for someone to keep a close eye on him and his men. Someone reliable, and I'd say you fit the part. Go and report to him at his encampment. You'll ride with his band on patrols and make sure they don't get too disorderly.
Who is this Sir Kuno of Rickwald?
He's the last baron of the House of Rickwald, which became impoverished. So he took to the mercenary trade, like many poor noblemen do, unless they become robbers, which often isn't all that different. He's certainly an entertaining companion, but as a mercenary, well, let's just say he has his own particular approach to certain matters.
That sounds a little worrying.
Oh, it's nothing too bad. Just that now and again he needs reminding not to step over the line.
How is he indebted to you?
I did him quite a big service, actually. I saved him from the hangman.
Oh, that sounds like quite a story. How did it happen?
You should ask him. You'll be spending quite a while riding together, so it'll help pass the time. But one thing I can tell you, he seems to have taken inspiration from me. A lot of his men had their own encounters with the executioner too.
All right, I'll go and report to him.
Excellent. He set up camp between Ratai and Ledechko. It's a good base for covering the province. Good luck, Henry. And watch out for yourself.
I will, sir. Thanks.
Goodbye. Damn.
Bread Beach, just this morning. Bread!
Do you know anything about getting rid of wandering souls?
The Restless Dead? I might know a bit about that. It depends who wants to know. I wouldn't want to be accused of heresy.
Oh, come now, Konyash. You helped me once before, so I'd like to ask you for something again.
Fine, you're right, Henry. I won't lie to you. I'm interested in occult teachings and a bit of alchemy. It's far more than just old wives' tales. I truly believe it's a science. So what exactly do you need?
To help a village woman from Ledechko. Her neighbour's ghost has been haunting her. He visits her every night.
You don't say. Now this is interesting. Revenant spectral beings, cursed souls from beyond the grave.
Yes, exactly. Her house is haunted.
To put it vulgarly, my lad, to put it vulgarly. But there are spells that can banish restless souls back to the realm of the beyond.
Now that's what I wanted to hear. And do you know the spells?
Well, I'd like to learn at least one. But the only book I know that contains them has been classified amongst the Libri Prohibiti.
I've no idea what that means.
The spell's written in a forbidden book. A book that's in Latin and kept under lock and key in the monastery. It's called Liber de Mortuis, Necronomiconos. Do you need to know any more?
Do you want me to steal the book?
If you want to get rid of that revenant, you have no other choice. When you bring me that book, we can cast the spell together, since you don't know Latin.
Fine. I'll bring the book.
You'll find it in the monastery library. But it won't be easy to get in. Truth be told, I don't know of anyone who is able to break in and out without getting into big trouble.
I'll try.
God be with you. See you later.
God be with you. Good luck, then. Look out.
God's blessings. Good boy. How are you?
My lord, I'm afraid you were right when you said these hostilities wouldn't end at Pribyslavitz.
That comes as no surprise.
What has happened?
The men reported 2 more attacks today.
Ah, Henry. I'm glad you're here. It seems like we'll have another task for you. Come and join us.
My lord.
Greetings, lad.
The bandits raided a few remote hamlets, but that's the least of our worries. They also attacked Merhoyed, and that's a much more serious matter.
Merhoyed. Matthias is working there.
They attacked right after the battle in Pribyslavitz. Bastards are probably trying to prove they're still strong. But there's a silver lining. The villagers held them off, and they even took 1 captive. He's wounded, but we can still interrogate him.
Your Graces, I hope I'm not intruding.
On the contrary, Master Tobias. Unlike Bernard, you are the bearer of good tidings. Or so I gather from the coin you carry. Tell me, how many groschen did we find in Pribyslavitz?
My lord, I'm sorry, but my news is no better than Captain Bernard's. These coins are very good. That is to say, well-made facsimiles, as we call them.
What? I don't give a fack what you call them. I want to know what they're facking worth.
That's just it, sir. They're worth nothing.
Are you saying what I think you're saying, Master Tobias? This here
is just a pile of copper.
Kurva! Fuck!
Plated with silver, so it's still of some worth.
Kurva! Fuck!
Is it a lot of work to make such counterfeits, Master Tobias?
I should say so, sir. Highly demanding work. Especially to make such plausible forgeries. They would need a well-hidden foundry, several craftsmen, and a source of material.
But they could just be brought in from somewhere else, could they not?
Well, they could, but then again, the silver mines are nearby, and these groschen seem freshly minted, so...
So we are facing a foe who has almost limitless sources of coin. That's all we need.
Doppeltel.
Well, gentlemen, it's clear what we have to do. Interrogate that captive bandit, find out their numbers, and promptly cut off their supply of money. Otherwise, they'll soon have another encampment.
If they haven't already.
I doubt it, sir. Merhoyed wouldn't have been able to hold them off if they did.
Well, lad, I said we'd have work for you, but it never crossed my mind there would be this much. You've already proved your worth as an investigator, so I'm putting my faith in you again. Go to Merhoyed and question that captive. Find out where those brigands are hiding, how many there are, and what they're planning. And while you're at it, see if you can find some clues as to where this counterfeit coin is coming from.
Very well, sir.
Good luck. We're counting on you. All of us. Come report to me as soon as you know anything. I'll be at the lookout point near Talmberg.
Greetings. What do you need?
Are you Chief Engineer Fafar?
Yes, I am. What can I do for you?
Sir Radzig sent me to be of service to you.
Ah, I'm glad to hear it. It's high time we started putting things to rights. There's been quite enough dithering.
How can I help with these, evil forebodings of yours?
Sir Radzig may make light of it, but a large quantity of silver has been discovered hereabouts, and no one is guarding the Skullets mines, the most likely source.
You really think someone could be stealing the silver from the mines? I would have thought that would be quite a job, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. Which is why I'd like you to go and check out not only the mine gallery, but also the yard with the smelter and the waterworks. See what kind of state it's all in, and if anything looks suspicious.
Is that the yard next to the Skalitz mill?
That's the one. I don't know what state it's in now. There used to be a stock of charcoal and smelted silver there.
A silver store? Could there really be any left?
I doubt it. I'd be surprised if it was still standing at all.
What about these waterworks? What's there?
A stamping mill and washing troughs. They're on the bend in the river below the castle. You can't miss them. There are big tanks and equipment all around.
You said mine gallery. Just one?
Boy, there's such a maze there that it would take a week to crawl through the place. There's only one gallery I'm interested in, at the foot of the hill by a small fish pond.
Why just that one?
Because I was expecting to find a scene there. All the indications pointed to it. So if anyone is stealing silver, it'll be right there.
Should I be expecting trouble then?
Well, I definitely wouldn't treat the job like a visit to church on Sunday. You could find yourself facing a pack of hungry dogs trailing the army, or a band of brigands.
I see. Well, you and Sir Radzig can rely on me. That's all clear. I'll get going.
Goodbye.
Can I ask... Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. I'd like to improve my swordsmanship.
Certainly.
I'd like to hone my skills.
First, you have to have some skills to hone.
Well, I'll think it over.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be with you. I'm looking for Sakuno. Sakuno? Baron Rickvold. Isn't this his camp?
You won't get nothing out of him. You must be Radzig's man. I heard he was supposed to send someone.
Yes, Sir Radzig sent me as a guide. I'm Henry.
I'm Jakey. And this here fella, we call the Stone.
I can see why. What's up with him? Cat got his tongue?
No, more like the dog got it. The executioner's dog. When the executioner ripped it out of him. Anyway, you better come along with me. I'll introduce you to the other fellas. And the chief. These here are the Bearman brothers, Petter and Jan. They're a barrel of laughs, except when they're too drunk to string two words together. Like now. Don't get on the wrong side of them, though. When their blood is up, well, it ain't a pretty sight.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, I'm sure.
Never mind the fancy poses, Stefan. You're trying to kill the fucker, not teach him how to dance. And you, Dangler, stand your ground. Don't let him lead you round by the nose.
Sir? Well, sir, this is Henry. From Lord Kobler.
Ah, it's about time Radzig got round to this. We need someone who knows their way around these parts. Leave off with the bowing and curtsying. We don't hold with that tomfoolery here. Jakey! Where the hell are you sneaking off to? Go to the farm and get water. The lads are thirsty.
But I went last time.
And you'll go next time, you ungrateful pup. Get your ass moving. Snot-nosed brat. You put them out of a pile of shit, and they thank you with back talk. Where were we? Oh yeah. We need a guide who knows these parts. So I hope I can rely on you, Herman.
It's Henry.
Right. Well, as I said to Radzig, I don't want to carry any dead weight. We could find ourselves in some very tight situations where every sword counts.
I know how to handle a sword, all right.
I've heard a lot of fellas say that. They still ended up on the wrong end of one. We'll find out. Stefan, take a break. Dangler, let's find out what Harold here can do.
Sure. No problem, Chief.
God damn! Come on, then. Yeah. Bah, yeah.
Sorry, lad, but like I said, I need someone who can handle a weapon well, and that's not you.
What?
No. But maybe you're just having a bad day.
Oh. Ah. What the?
Do you know any...
I'm interested.
To help?
You don't say.
Yes, exactly.
To put it
Now that...
well,
I've no... Do you...
You'll...
My lord, I'm afraid you were right when you said these hostages...
Your graces. They could, but...
The Lord be praised.
Are you chief engineer?
Yes, I... No.
How... You...
I don't...
Henry, I'm...
You... But why? Because I was... Well...
Take care.
Ah, watch what you're doing! There's people walking here.
God be with you. I'm looking for a Sakuno.
Never mind the fancy poses, Stefan. You're trying to kill the fucker. Jakey! Where were we? Oh, yeah. I need a guide who knows these parts.
As I said to Radzik.
So I hope I can rely on you, Herman.
What's the matter? Come on! You whoreson! Shit! Take that! You're dead! Yeah. Now, you fucks! Bugger!
Got a trouncing, but then Dangler is no easy opponent. You can ride with us.
All right.
Don't thank me yet. You don't know what...
I'll be with you. I'm looking for a Sakuno. Sakuno? Baron Rickvold. Isn't this his camp?
You won't get nothing out of him. You must be Radzig's man. I heard he was supposed to send someone.
Yes, Sir Radzig sent me as a guide. I'm Henry.
I'm Jakey. And this here fella, we call the Stone.
I can see why. What's up?
Is that the best you can do?
Didn't fare badly at all, I must say. You can ride with us.
All right, good. Thanks.
Don't thank me yet. You don't know what you're letting yourself in for.
Sir Kuno, can you tell me something about yourself?
Drop the sir. That title brought me nothing but grief. But what do you want to know?
Sir Radzig told me the Rickvold family lost its wealth. How did that happen?
There's all sorts of ways to become impoverished. Nothing easier. Especially when your father's a fool. And your mother's mad as a bat.
Oh.
But it's a long and twisted story. We took our name from Rickvold Castle. But that actually belonged to the convent of the Poor Clares in Tynitz. And my father only leased it. You see, he knew the abbess there since they were young. Knew her very well. There was even talk that she only joined the order because her family wouldn't let her marry him. Anyway, whether he was fucking her right there in the convent, or he just took a lot of interest in scripture, he spent an awful lot of time in Tynitz.
Oh, he might have been after a bit of both.
Sinning and confessing all in one place. Well, I can see the convenience of it. Anyway, my mother never had strong nerves. Truth be told, her sanity was always shaky. Pa's escapades drove her cuckoo entirely. Then, one frosty December morning, I was woken by screaming and smoke. I looked out the window. I saw my mother there, in the courtyard, wreathed in flames. Behind her, the stables, the farm buildings and the tower were burning too. And she just stood there, shrieking with laughter.
Christ, that sounds like a scene straight out of hell.
Hellish it was, I can tell you. Me and my sister Adela and a few servants managed to get out before the whole place went up. I couldn't get to my father. Or my little brother. Poor lad was only 7. My sister and I were left destitute after the fire. But then my cousin, Adam of Drevich, took us into his castle. A few weeks later, he offered to buy what was left of our estates and sell me a small fortress near a Kovnik. It was a great relief. We suddenly had some hope of a future again. So I told my sister about it. And it was the biggest mistake of my life. A week later, the two of them announced to me they were getting married. And all that was left of our estates, lands, woods, villages, Adela was to get it all as a dowry.
But surely that was for you to decide. You were the head of the family, right?
Aye. Only I barely had 17 years under my belt, and I'd just lost everything. Of course, I argued with them, and that was the only excuse they needed to kick me out of Drevich too.
That's pretty harsh.
You're telling me. But I'm not complaining. As my pa always used to say, if you can turn your hand to something, you never be lost. I doubt it ever crossed his mind how often I'd remember those words.
What about your debt to Sir Radzig? How did that come about?
A twist of fate, lad. I was fighting in the hostilities between the House of Schallenberg and the town of Colleen. Some trade dispute it was, and I fought under the Schallenberg colours. In the end, the two sides negotiated a truce, and I rode to Colleen with the delegation that was to parley there. We stopped off at an inn on the way, and it was there that I met Radzig Kobyla. I could tell at first sight he was a man after my own heart. A likeable rogue, with a sharp mind and a merry soul. We spent the whole night drinking together and talking, and in the morning we set off together, with sore heads, but in good temper, since he was travelling the Colleen same as I was. Only, once we reached the city gates, they arrested me on the spot. Seems the burghers had it in for me, since I'd been making their lives hell for a good 6 months. On the other hand, I was a member of the peace delegation, so by rights, they shouldn't have even looked at me sideways. And then it hit me why Radzig was there. Colleen is a royal city, so he was there to represent the king's interests.
I see. So he was on the other side.
That's right. Anyway, they threw me in a dungeon, and a few days later word reached me that the Schallenbergs had reached an agreement with the burghers. Only part of the deal was they would give them my head. And I'd surely have ended my days swinging from the town battlements if it hadn't been for Radzig. He liked me, and he could see it was a dirty trick, so he somehow squared things with the city council.
Lucky for you.
Indeed. I owe my life to Radzig, and I'll never forget it. He's asked me twice before for help. This is the 3rd time, and how could I refuse him?
I'd like to ask about your men.
Ask away.
What about the fellow they call Dangler?
I've never ridden with a better man, I can tell you. He doesn't say a lot, but for that, he listens all the better. Nothing escapes him.
So he scouts for you?
Not just that. It's happened more than once. I was closing a deal with someone, and Dangler told me after that he didn't like the smell of the fella nearly every time he was right. and the fellow tried to stab me in the back afterwards.
Those Bearman brothers are quite a pair.
Indeed they are. There's no more mercy in them than in, well, a bear. If I told them to skewer you on the spot, they'd do it, without batting an eyelid.
Jesus.
Oh, aye. They'd argue first about which one of them got to do the job. But they're as obedient as a huntsman's dogs. Real soldiers, the pair of them. Reliable. As long as they don't get too drunk. Then there's no keeping them under control. But nobody's perfect.
What can you tell me about Stefan?
Fletching? For one thing, he's a very resourceful fellow.
How did he come to join your band?
Well, let's just say he was in the right place at the right time. You'll find he has quite a knack for that.
What exactly happened?
Sorry, I'd love to tell you the whole story, but I'd be betraying his trust.
Oh, now you've got me curious. Maybe I should ask him myself.
Sure, why not? Our Fletch does love to converse.
What about that dumb one? How did he end up with you?
The stone? Oh, he just kind of tagged along.
Just like that?
Aye, just like that. We were riding from Olomouc to a castle past Kladsko, when we ran into him and some other wayfarers camping along the way. You know how it goes. We made acquaintance with them, had a drink or two. Then we travelled on together. After all, there's safety in numbers.
I'm not sure I'd be thinking that if I ran into you lot on the road.
We might have done some things I ain't proud of, but wayfarers are sacred even for me. Anyway, our fellow travellers dropped off along the way. One in Mohelnitz, one in Schoenberg, and the rest in Kladsko. Except for the stone. He stuck with us the whole way. The fellas kept asking him what he was after, but of course he never said a word. When we were approaching Barsdorf, I ordered the men to get rid of him. I had some business at the castle, and I didn't want any strangers sticking their noses in. Stefan tried to tell him nicely, but he just sat there, staring like he was turned to stone. That's when we gave him the name. Then the Bearman brothers tried to get him off his horse. He booted Jan in the face and knocked him out cold. Then he jumped down and felled Petter with one punch. A man who can do that is a man you want on your side. So we kept him.
Weren't you worried about having a stranger in your band? Especially one who didn't talk.
No, I figured if he can't talk, he can't tell. Besides, I've had worse.
What about Jakey?
Jakey? That boy will be the death of me. You've got to be tough on him, or he's good for nothing. But I'm fond of him, in a way.
Like a son?
I wouldn't go that far. But I've no family of my own. And unlike those other cutthroats, he seems to me like a good lad.
Well, you're pretty hard on him, though. And the others keep him on his toes, too.
The boy needs a firm hand. I was like him once, and I got the same too. If we let him be, we'd end up with a third bear man. And who'd want that?
True. 2 is more than enough. Sir Radzig told me the Rickvold family lost its wealth. How did that happen?
There's all sorts of ways to become impoverished.
Oh.
But it's a long and twisted story. You see, anyway.
Oh.
Then, one hellish it was. My sister and I were a few weeks late. It was a great relief. A week.
But surely that was for you to decide. You...
Aye.
Should we ride out?
Aye. We ought to set out on patrol about now. Hope you've got your kit ready and whatnot. I'd like to head to the north. Is there anything interesting that way?
North of here, Samapesh and Merhoyed are that way, and Talmberg is a bit further on. There's stables in Merhoyed.
I wouldn't mind paying a visit to those stables. We can go through there.
And from there?
From there, we'll follow our noses. Something interesting is sure to turn up. I feel it in my bones. Mount up and let's go.
Sure. Chief.
fine day, eh, brother?
Indeed, brother.
You know what I like best about days like this, Jan?
The scent of chamomile wafting from